Tonya Hofmann's fabulous. Tonya Hofmann's fabulous. Tonya Hofmann's fabulous, fabulous TV show. Tonya.
Hello, everybody. I am so excited that you're here with us today. And welcome to my show. I am Tonya Hofmann, and my guest star today is Miss Kathi Laughman. Yay! And we're going to hear from her in just a minute. I am so thankful that you're back with us. Remember to stick around to the end of the show because Kathi has an amazing offer that's absolutely free, and you're going to love it. So make sure you stick around. Now, what have you been doing lately to propel yourself, right? Because action always equals action. So usually when people are, say, a self-employed person and they're like, oh, I'm just not getting any sales. Well, it's usually because they're not trying to create an actual sale. You know, you have to create the movement in order for that to happen. Too many people kind of sit there and wait. Well, one of these days, someone will come to my website and they'll click on my link and they'll say, oh, I want that, and they'll buy it. Okay, yeah, right. It does happen every once in a while, but why wait? Make impact, make movement. Do something today that will go, wow, I'm so glad that I did that. Even if it's just to reach out and talk to somebody new, reach out and talk to Cassie, reach out and talk to me. You know, I have a goal. Now mine's pretty big. I usually try to reach out and talk to 3 new people a day. Okay. Now, sometimes I get to meet 100 people at a time, you know, when I go and speak someplace. But, you know, if not, I at least reach out and talk to somebody. And it's not about just me. You got to remember it's about them. So reach out and say hello because you have no idea who they are, who they know, and who they can connect you to. So just reach out and say hi. Most people are incredibly nice. And the ones that aren't, say goodbye. You don't have to talk to them very long. So I'm excited to introduce you to Kathi. So, oh my gosh, where to even start? So she is one of those people that you absolutely not just need to know, not just follow on her Facebook page, not just join her newsletters and get her little information, but join in and experience her amazingness because she has got so much knowledge. It blows me away. So how are you doing, Kathi?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to be here on your show. This is really an honor for me.
Oh, thank you. So Kathi is a director for the Public Speakers Association, and she runs the Greater Houston chapter right now. And amazing. So if you're in the Houston market, absolutely jump over to that group because you will love her. So Kathi, tell us about, you know, obviously, I know for myself, I have not always been this fabulous. I have to admit it. How about yourself? Can you tell us a little bit about you?
Sure. You know, I think that I heard something the other day that really totally resonated with me. It made me really stop and think about why we tell our stories and why it's important to share our stories. And it was this: our success, you know, how fabulous we are, that inspires people. There's no question that that inspires people, but it's our story that empowers them. So they can be really inspired by who we are today, but what's really going to empower them to do something about that inspiration is knowing, how did we get here? And I thought that was such a perfect way to really help us feel better about sharing some of the muck, if you will. You know, and for me, it started with, I was a single parent, really pretty much most of my adult life. My daughter's birthday is today, and the day we're recording this is my daughter's birthday, and she's 33 today, so that just tells you it's been a while. She was 3 when I became a single parent. So when we came around to the empty nest day, when we came around to the day that she got married and moved, it was a big deal. and one that I thought I would take in stride, but it was tough because had just been the two of us for so long, and then she had a daughter, so my granddaughter was with us, but it was a really tough thing to go through. And I did what so many of us do, in that it's like the old saying, water seeks its own level. So whatever I had been giving over, into being a good parent, I just transferred into being more into my career. And I was working in corporate America, and I was an executive. So 100% just started going there. Well, very short time after that, I went from empty nest to empty job. And in 2009, like so many people, my position was eliminated. And so that really was like, you talk about pulling the rug out from underneath somebody. And, we often think so much about, well, the financial impact. And yes, that's huge. That's a big, big deal, but it goes beyond that. It so shatters us at our core, especially when we've had a career where so much of who we are is tied up in what we do. Mm-hmm. I remember very vividly that day. It's not one that I think I'll forget anytime soon, but I literally remember sitting in the parking garage in my car and putting my head on my forehead and realizing that anybody I knew well enough or was close enough to give this news to was in the building I just left.
Right.
You just feel so shattered and so alone. And so I thought, okay, well, I dusted myself off and did some consulting work and did some things and hired a coach and became a life coach myself. But then right on the heels of that, I was sitting in a doctor's office, and I had a doctor ask me, how much do you know about hepatitis C? And it was like, I don't know anything about hepatitis C, but apparently I'm going to learn. And it was a really tough time. So I'd gone from empty nest to empty job to empty health in just, a pretty short period of time. And so it really was one of those periods in my life where I had to come really close and personal with, what exactly do you want for the rest of your life? Because every place that I had been, every path that I thought I was on, just kept abruptly ending. And so it was like, okay, I got to figure this out, and I got to figure this out fast. What do I want? Who do I want to be? Not necessarily what do I want to do, where do I want to be? I had to figure out first, who do I want to be? It was a really powerful thing for me. And once I really came face to face with that, everything started falling into place. And my coaching started, started happening. My associations started changing. I started reaching out to a far different group of people that were excited about the future, not afraid of the future, people that were building their own economy instead of waiting for our economy to recover. I just started being with a completely different kind of group and group of people. And PSA was a big part of that for me. As you know, Tonya, I came out of those halls of corporate really green to what else was out there. And it's groups like PSA that I think make such a huge difference for all of us in being able to say, okay, how do I take what I know and throw away the stuff that doesn't matter anymore, but keep the really good stuff and make it meaningful in a new way for me?
I think a lot of people struggle with, this is my identity, and they're still stuck with the old identity, the corporate identity, they had the last business identity, whatever it is, and they're just holding on as if that is their whole existence,
True, so true. I mean, it's almost like, and we do this to ourselves. And I even somewhat hold the coaching industry a little bit responsible for this, because we put such an emphasis on, what's your passion? What's your mission? What's your calling? We need to add a word to the end of that for now, or a couple, today, for now, because we can't take a singular lens to that anymore. My mainstay for many years was being a mom. That was my primary role, of course.
Yeah.
But it's not today. It's not today. I'm not any less of a mom today than I was then, but I sure have a whole lot less mom things to do today than I did back then. Nobody's worried. I don't have to worry about what anybody's having for lunch today except me and Bree, my beagle. So
Well, and I remember that moment where, we get into the what I should be and what I should be doing. A lot of times we feel like there's a equalization, with that title. And so when I had my daughter, which is now, 20 years ago, but I remember I started dressing different. I started wearing Winnie the Pooh and flowers and, and I started acting different because I thought I had to be a mommy, whatever that was in my head. It was the weirdest thing to me. And then suddenly my husband's like, what's up with Winnie the Pooh? All of a sudden, I had to stop and think about it. I'm like, I don't know.
My daughter would get along great. She's 33, and I swear she would still choose a Winnie the Pooh cake over anything for her birthday.
So funny. And especially with people with careers, we really get stuck with that label of what we were doing. And I used to do a lot of coaching and a lot of speaking for career clubs, job clubs, people like that. But oh my gosh, a lot of those people just still want just their job back. They haven't really even gone through the process that it's gone, and that how exciting they get to do something new,
That is so true, Tonya. That is so true. It's like, what do I get to do now that I would have never even imagined for myself? One of the things that I tell people is the rest of your story is so much better than you could ever possibly imagine. I mean, there's so much more out there for you now today. But, I have friends that are artists. My daughter, in fact, is an artist. And I've always envied them that they're so focused on whatever their project is right now, whatever they're working on now, the piece they're working on now. And so when they get done with that piece, they've never felt like, well, that was the only piece they were ever going to create, right? They're just on to create the next thing. And I think we almost have to, all of us, adopt that mentality that our work is our artistry, and this is what we're creating now. And once we're done creating it, then it's going to be time for us to create what's next.
I love that. 'Cause I even remember I had 2 retail stores in Houston, and it was a very big sense of pride for me, at the age of 25 to own a retail store for 7 years. And my husband, right? And, for when we had to close them up, it was the, oh my gosh, not I'm, labeling myself as that anymore. What's next? What else can happen? This happened to me so young. Now what? And I see a lot of people who label themselves when they've had a disaster. They label themselves as a victim. When I had cancer, I didn't dwell on it. As soon as it was over, I'm like, bye, let's go. But I see people that are still stuck in, I'm a cancer survivor, and they're so focused on that. And it's okay if that's part of their mission and they've got a true calling for that. But a lot of people just label themselves and then they don't move forward.
That's so true, and I think because, you and I both gone through serious health things, and the treatment itself is challenging, but the disease, it's really scary. And that period beyond healing is so important because you have to move beyond the disease. You have to allow yourself not to just be healed, but to go beyond healing. And I remember the first time that I introduced myself and I didn't feel like the need to explain, well, I've been ill. Right? It was like, they don't really need to know that, Kathi. That's really not part of who you are right now.
Exactly.
And you need to let that go so everybody else can let it go.
Yes.
Nobody else will let it go for you until you let it go for you.
Exactly. And I remember my friend was like, oh, Tonya, there's going to be a big, thing at the school for cancer survivors. I'd love for you to come and walk the track and get a free t-shirt. I'm like, I totally not labeled myself as a cancer survivor. It was just kind of the thing that I had gone through.
Right.
So
it's a coping skill, right? And we all have different ways of coping, but it's so important. The point you've made is so tremendously important. Whatever it is, there's some things that happen to us in life transitionally that are more organic. Our kids grow up, right? Our kids grow up, we get older. There's so many things about life and that are the transitions that are organic. But there are plenty and more than the organic ones are the disruptive ones. And every time we have the disruptive ones, whether it's death or divorce or disease or whatever it might be, it's almost as if we freeze in time. And that is so important to let that go and be able to move past that, learn what you can from it, take those lessons with you, and then move on. And it's a very important point.
Now, I know you're going to give us a tip today, to help us kind of move forward and all. What's something that you could teach us today?
Well, I think it's along these lines, Tonya. As I was listening to you in the beginning when you were talking, what can you do today? The whole foundation of my manifesto and everything that I believe is live today like you want tomorrow to be. And I have that for two reasons. One is because I don't think we get what we want tomorrow because we either A, don't know what that is, or B, we don't live it today. So if I want to be out of debt a year from now, I need to stop using credit cards today, right? I mean, there's just certain things that have a cause and effect, and you need to understand what those are. So that's part of it. So I think we don't define what we want, and then we don't live it today. But I also think part of it is that it goes along with the whole idea of abundance and entitlement, and we always feel like, well, I have to earn that, or I have to wait for that, or I have to pay my dues. And I tell people, you need to cut the string, go ahead and eat that carrot, because as long as you just keep chasing it, you're never going to get to enjoy it. So you want to live today like you want tomorrow to be. But part of that has to do with being prepared for it. And part of when I work with people, even myself, I have to remind myself of this. We have to prepare for what we want. If you want to be successful, and we all do, you have to look at where you want to be successful. And I tell people, being strategic is real simple. It just means beginning with the end in mind. So you just say, what do I want? And knowing that, it's like a trip. Where do I want to go, right? Because now you have a way to do your planning and strategizing. But when you look at that, how do you prepare for that? So once you're there, you know in your strategy how you're going to get there. But what's life going to be like when you're there? And are you prepared for that? Are you really prepared for that? Have you put the preparations in place? And, sometimes, if I'm, depending on who I'm talking with, it's like having a great pantry, right? You can do your menus all day long and figure out your menus and go to the store. But at the end of the day, we walk to the pantry, don't we? We're going to always be pulling something out of the pantry. It's what I call being prepared. And how are we preparing ourselves for that life? What are we doing about it? If you're a business owner and you want to be doing 6 figures or 7 figures or 8 figures or 9 figures, and you do a vision board that says, this is what I'm going towards. And don't get me wrong, I'm a big believer in visioning, but it's more than about how you're going to get there. You've got to let that include, how's it going to be when I'm there? And making sure that you're putting the systems and things in place that you need before you need them.
Well, don't you also find that let's go with the pantry idea.
That's always popular.
I love that. So, my husband goes to the grocery store, right? And he comes home and he spends, $250. We'll just throw a number out there. And all week long, I'm trying to figure out what do we have to make, because he has bought the most random stuff versus when I go, I'm like, okay, Monday, let's eat this. Tuesday, let's eat this. So it's kind of that strategy of not let's just go do something and say we did it, but we actually are doing it for a purpose, right?
Right. We're serving the plan so that once we get there, we have everything we need to do what we need to do. You could take so many examples for this. I mean, it really is endless. But I hear people all the time, regardless of their business or whatever, you know, and you could ask them a simple basic question. And, you know, something as simple as, you know, what billing system are you going to use?
Oh, yeah.
Billing system? Well, you intend to collect money, right? Right, but this is, you know, this is, I'm saying that facetiously, but it's something I had to face just recently of, okay, what you have today is great for today, but as your business grows and you look at your business goals 1 year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, the way you're doing it today, that ain't going to cut it.
Exactly.
You need to be, you know, as my fellow director and member of PSA, Debbie Elder, in her program, set them up for success. Set yourself up for success, right? Don't let yourself be surprised by success. That is what I would say is my tip for everybody. When you define what success looks like for you, don't let yourself get surprised by it. Because if you're working towards it and you're doing the right things to get there, you're going to get there.
Exactly.
But don't let yourself get surprised by it. When I look at companies that go through really extreme, what we call growing pains, right? 9 times out of 10, it's because they grew faster than they expected to.
Yes. Yes. And you know, what's interesting to me too is a lot of times I find people that don't, you know, attack an opportunity, right?
Yes.
I was just featured on Be the Boss magazine on the front page.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I'm the cover girl. And it was an interesting story because she wanted to list about 6 top networkers that she knew for the cover. So when she asked me, I'm like, yeah, I would love to be on your cover. How exciting is that? She goes, well, I need a professional picture and something that you haven't used before. I need an article. She gave me the size of the article. So there were some things that I had to accomplish. So what did I do? I went out and did those things. I scheduled the photo, I wrote the article, and I sent it all to her.
Yeah.
I'm the only one on the cover because I'm the only one who actually did what she asked.
Isn't it amazing? And if you take that a step further, and what I love about you is that you are always expecting success. And so you make all of us play our game at a higher level, because I saw immediately when that came out, you were prepared to leverage that and put that out there and share that. Now that's great for Shelley and Be the Boss magazine. That's great for them, but you were prepared too. You know, you didn't just do what it took to be on the cover. Now you're taking the fact that you're on the cover and allowing that to continue to serve more people. So it's a great example.
Yeah, and don't be so afraid of success. You know, so many people stop themselves because they're like, oh, I even talked to one of the ladies. I knew she was supposed to be on the cover. I'm like, hey, what happened to you? And she's like, oh, and she made up all these excuses. Oh, I just didn't have time to write the article, and I couldn't find a photographer. I'm like, you couldn't find a photographer? I mean, you know, I'm like,
that's office today.
Yeah. I mean, you go outside, take a picture of yourself, something, you know. But, you know, I really just said, well, what do you mean? Because, you know, I know that you could probably have done all this. And she just broke down. She was like, I couldn't imagine myself on the cover of a magazine. And I was so afraid. And I said, I could tell, you know, just the way she was talking. And she, you know, almost felt ashamed to admit to herself. I'm saying, well, that's your first problem, is you just got to get over, you know, your own issues and move forward, because I totally have been there.
Right. You know, one of my historical role models, I try to keep some current, you know, contemporaries and then some from the past, because we can learn from them. But one of my historical ones is Eleanor Roosevelt. And I keep a quote on my desk. It's on a plaque on my desk that says, do one thing every day that scares you. And
Yes.
I think that has made such a difference for me, is not allowing myself to, you know, use fear of something to stop me from doing it. It's fine to feel the fear. The fear just shows you respect what you're about to take on, that you give it the credibility and the importance that it probably deserves, but it shouldn't be the roadblock. It shouldn't be the stop sign. And so, but yeah, it's a great example. But I really tell people, planning is important, but preparing is more important, because if you're prepared, then when your plans go awry, which, newsflash, they will, they will not derail. You will have everything you need in place, to do that. In my old corporate world, we called it disaster recovery, right? But we were prepared for it. If a system went down, if this went down, we were prepared for it. We have to do that in our lives too. We have to be able to say, for good things as well as disruptive things. But I really, right now, for me, my focus in 2015 is making sure I'm prepared for success, because I know that it's going to happen. And when we are prepared for it, guess what? We can enjoy it.
Exactly. And so many people are willing to help you. Everybody listening, there are people, you find someone that's done something that you're like, they just give them a call and say, hey, John, hey, Susie, hey, Kathy, hey, Tonya, I see that you do this. What do you think about it? What's been your problems? What's been your successes? And people are usually incredibly open.
I find that to be true. The generosity of people is just mind-boggling sometimes. And we have to be respectful of it, to make sure that we don't make a nuisance of ourselves. But you know what? We need each other to be successful.
Yes.
The more successful you are, Tonya, the more valuable our relationship can be. The more successful I am, the more valuable our relationship can be, because we are both committed to supporting each other's success. Well, you can't give what you don't have.
Exactly.
Right? So it's like, you got to put your own mask on first. They tell us that every time we get on the plane, right?
Breathe. And I know some of y'all are hyperventilating. Breathe. Well, I am so excited that you've been on today. So tell us what you're giving away today for your special offer.
Well, I mentioned this in the beginning that, live today like you want tomorrow to be. One of the problems that I see for people is the challenge of deciding what they want tomorrow to be. And so what I have is a very special opportunity for you to get access to a tool that will help you with that. Because all too often we focus just in one place, like, this is what I want to do. This is the work I want to do. This tool is going to help you really take more of a full inventory of life, if you will, and go through and determine, what does success look like for you? What do you want tomorrow to be? And you can get it very easily. I'm going to tell you, just go to my website, and I'm going to spell it because it's a long name, but it's McKinsey Circle. And one day we'll have to have a chat about what that means. But MACKENZIE, McKinsey Circle, CIRCLE, McKinseyCircle.com/live today. And if you go there, then you are going to get on my mailing list, of course, but then I'm going to give you your free copy of that guide. And I think if you'll use it, that's the first step, right? The first step is knowing where you want to go, and knowing what you want tomorrow to be. And then, of course, always feel free to engage with me. If you want some help along the way, I'd love to help you with that.
Yay! All right, everybody, take advantage of that. Oh my gosh, why wouldn't you? It's free. I always see people like, well, I'm like, oh, please, just do it. One thing can make you go, boom. So I always take advantage of those kind of things. Well, I am so excited that you were on today. And if y'all are listening and you're like, oh, I wonder who this Tonya Hofmann really is, or you want to get connected with Kathy more, go to the website, publicspeakersassociation.com, and you'll be able to find out about Kathy's fabulous group that she runs in the Houston area. You'll find out all kinds of fun things through the association. We even have like an assessment you could take to see where you are in the speaking world. And then we also have a game you could take. So if you haven't taken our game, Go have fun. It's me being silly, but it's real. It's real information, and it's kind of insightful for yourself too. So thank you so much. Thank you, Kathi, for being on today. I can't wait for you to come back.
Yeah, me too. It's been fun.
Yay! All right, everyone. So publicspeakersassociation.com. And then also check out our conference while you're there, June 14th through the 17th. You won't want to miss it. Amazing people are going to be there. People that will help you, guide you, whatever you're needing. If you're already a speaker, you'll already be able to get booked for gigs. If you are just thinking about being a speaker, you're going to get connected to amazing people that have open hearts to help you. So we can't wait to see you there. All right, everyone. See you next time. Bye, Kathi. Bye, everybody.